Marcus, welcome back to another installment of R/No Sleep. Today, we have one from Bad Andy the Red. Bad Andy, how you doing? Title! Bloody numbers have been appearing on my hand. I think they are counting down to something. This is a 5-part series, but they're all pretty short, so I'm just probably going to run them all together into one story. There will be a link in the description. Make sure you go check out Bad Andy the Red. Give him some love over there. Let's get into it. It all started just over a week ago. I'd just gotten off work and was going to pick up dinner and head to my girlfriend Cassandra's place. We had been together for a year and things had been going great. Cass really liked the Mexican food from a small little restaurant by E Street. It was a bit of distance away from downtown and the neighborhood was a little sketchy, but they made damn good food, so I didn't mind getting it for us when either of us had a hankering. It was a little late for dinner since I had been working late, but Cass did not mind waiting up for me, and I called in an order and was happy to hear that they were still open. I parked and stepped out on the curb, hesitating as I heard something strange. It sounded like a small commotion near the playground that was on the other side of the street. It seemed like someone was trying to speak quietly, but not doing a great job since I could hear them from where I was. I could not quite make out the specifics, but someone sounded upset. Only one voice was audible, and it was too dark to see who was speaking, but I thought it might be someone rambling to themselves while under the influence of something. I shrugged, and I figured it was not my business and went to collect my order. When I got back outside and started walking back to my car, I froze when I heard something more clearly than before. I listened closely and I heard it again. It was desperate, but still strangled and hushed like someone was trying to cry out but still whispering. Help me. It was already dark and the minimal light from the street lamps barely illuminated the sidewalk, much less the shrouded playground where the voice was calling from. I couldn't see anything, but when I heard the voice calling for help again, I knew someone was there. I was unsure of what to do. I felt guilty for not rushing over to help right away, but something about the situation made me feel nervous to investigate. I considered calling the police, but I had no idea what was really going on, or if someone needed help more urgently than I could provide. I put the food in my car and pulled out my phone and turned on the flashlight and started moving cautiously toward the playground. I looked around, but I did not see anyone. I looked over my shoulder and no one was out walking on the sidewalks or anywhere else. The entire place seemed too quiet, and I could not find the source of the cry I had heard earlier. I almost convinced myself it was just my imagination and started to turn back toward my car when I heard it again. Please help me. I hesitated for a moment, but I pressed on and moved to an area by a domed jungle gym that was tall enough to obscure the rest of the area behind it. When I shined my light ahead, I nearly dropped my phone and gasped out loud at what I saw. It was a young woman lying face down and crawling slowly out from under the dome. She was leaving a trail of blood as she dragged herself forward. I panicked at the scene, but managed to overcome my initial fear and rushed forward to try and help. Suddenly, the woman on the ground seized my left hand and I felt a wave of pain and a burning sensation where she had grabbed me. She looked up and her eyes were bleeding. I recoiled at the horrific sight and tried to pull away, but her grip was iron. She stared at me and spoke again through now bleeding lips. Please, help me. It hurts. I can't stop it now. I wrenched my hand free with a pained gasp, and as I recoiled, I saw a large figure emerge from behind the jungle gym. It was holding a large knife and wearing a strange face mask that looked like a stone gargoyle's head. I had no idea what was going on, but it looked bad. A booming voice called out, "Get back! Don't touch her!" I was confused and still scared of the woman weeping blood, but the large man seemed to be a more imminent threat, and I wondered if he might have attacked her. I tried to stand firm against the imposing figure. I realized I had my cell phone out as my flashlight, and I should call 911. I shouted at the large man with as much bravado as I could muster, thrusting my phone forward like it was comparable to the large knife he was holding. "Stay away. Whatever is going on here, you need to leave this woman alone." I tried to subtly dial the numbers with my trembling hands. Instead of rushing forward to attack me, the figure just held up a gloved hand and spoke. "Oh, wait. I know you will not understand, but I have to do this. She is not safe. It must be stopped here and now." I had no idea what the masked man was saying. From where I was standing, it looked like he had just attacked her and was asking me to stay away for my safety. It seemed strange, but he did not sound angry, just concerned. It gave me pause just long enough to see what happened next. In a flash, the woman lunged forward and tried to grab at my leg this time, pleading for help once again. Before she could grab me, I was thrown off my feet by a strong shove from the masked man, and I was sprawled out on the ground. I heard an anguished cry and a horrible scream coming from the woman, followed by a muttered curse from the masked man, and then a gruesome crunching sound. I looked up and witnessed the final part of the grisly sight. There was blood everywhere, and I could hear a disturbing hissing sound that was unlike anything I imagined a person was capable of making. Before I could get to my feet and run, call for help, or even scream, he was already there, looming over me. There was a split second where I saw his hand move. Then, before I could blink, I saw the pommel of a knife traveling for my head. It struck me right in the temple, and the world fell away. The last thing I heard through the ringing in my ears was an apologetic muttering. "I'm sorry that you saw this. I hope to God you don't need to see it again." Then there was only silence. I woke up, freezing and alone, still in the playground. My head throbbed and I realized I had been knocked unconscious. The woman was gone. The blood that I swear I had seen everywhere was somehow gone as well. No trace of the large, masked man. No explanation as to what I had just seen and why. As I looked around in panic and confusion, I felt a strange burning sensation on my hand. I remember the woman reaching out to grasp my hand while she pled with me. Her grip had been very strong. I thought it might just be a bruise. Yet, when I looked at my right hand, instead of a normal mark or cut, I saw something else. It was an odd mark that looked like a deep tissue bruise. The more I stared at it, the more uncanny it seemed. The mark seemed to resemble a number the longer I looked. It seemed like the very blood in my veins had somehow contorted and shifted from the pressure to form the number 8 in my skin. Out of curiosity, I pressed down on it, but it did not hurt like a bruise. Then I tried to wipe it off, but it seemed to indeed be underneath my skin. I had no idea how it got there, but when I considered the bizarre and bloody sight I had stumbled upon, I had a bad feeling I'd walked into something horrible, and whatever it was just the beginning. My phone rang, and the sound knocked me out of the daze I was in, staring at the bloody number that was staring back at me through my own skin. I blinked and picked the phone back up and answered. I heard Cassandra's voice, and she was still speaking, trying to see if I was there. I mumbled in acknowledgement. Yes, I mean, sorry. There was a concerned pause, and Cass spoke again. Are you all right? You sound like you just woke up. I was making sure you were still coming. You were supposed to be here 15 minutes ago, and you didn't answer any of my texts. I was worried. I saw the missed text notifications, and then held my hand to my head as a wave of pain rolled from where I had been struck, making me nauseous and ready to kneel over. I apologized to Cass and told her I would get there soon. I lied and said I had car trouble since I didn't know how to explain what the hell had just happened to me over the phone. I wondered for a moment if I would tell her at all. Considered calling the police, but nothing else was there to indicate anything had happened. That woman and the man in the mask were both gone, and if I had not had the bruise on my head and the mark on my hand to prove I had been hit, I would have wondered if they were ever really there or if I was having a mental break. I thought I might have to tell Cass something better than just car troubles if she asked about my head and what happened. But I still did not really know what the hell happened myself. I drove to Cassandra's house in a daze, and when I started for the door, I realized I had been out for almost a half an hour, and the food was icy cold by then. I sighed and continued to the door to greet her. I apologized about the dinner, and we ended up ordering a pizza instead, since she did not want me to go back out again after the time I had. I agreed I did not really want to do anything else that day either. We enjoyed dinner and some time together, and I tried to put the incident behind me. I tried to rationalize the weird encounter as people playing a prank. Maybe I had been set up as a victim, though they did not take anything if the plan had been to mug me. Played the events over in my head as I tried to sleep, and something felt off. The disturbing look on the woman's face did not look like she was acting or playing a prank. She looked terrified. The odd burning in my hands returned as I considered the strange blood blister on it that resembled an 8. Nothing about that night sat right. I did manage to fall asleep, and I could not get the bleeding eyes and mouth of that woman out of my head. I eventually salvaged a few fruitful hours of sleep, but when I woke up, I saw something else that convinced me something was very wrong. In the morning, I had gone to the bathroom just as Cass was getting out of bed. When I went to wash my hands, I saw something that nearly made me cry out. I saw the mark on my hand from yesterday had changed. I blinked hard and even rubbed my eyes to make sure I was seeing what I was seeing. But there was no denying that the mark that had looked like someone had stenciled an 8 into my skin now looked exactly like a 7. It's the final countdown. So it's like some kind of countdown that's like etched into his skin. That's pretty cool. I like that. It's a really cool angle. Bad Andy the Red, always bringing it. We're going to roll right into part 2. Thanks for sticking around. Cass walked in while I was staring at the morbid mark on my skin, and I quickly covered it with a towel and made up a lie about how I cut myself shaving. She offered to get me something for it, but I declined and thanked her. When she left, I looked at it again, and when I looked back up to the bathroom mirror, I swear I saw the glint of bloodshot eyes staring back to me. In another moment, I was struck with a terrible buzzing sound in my head and an odd flash of heat under my skin, like my blood was boiling or I had a terrible fever. A moment later, the sensation was gone, but I was disturbed that it had happened at all. Something was happening. I thought I was sick, or maybe I had contracted some sort of disease. For lack of other options, I decided to go to the doctor and see if there was some explanation for this bizarre medical abnormality I was suffering after the disturbing encounter from the other day. Cass had asked to go with me, but I convinced her to stay home. I was suddenly nervous about whatever this was, spreading it to her if it was contagious. She reluctantly agreed, and I went to the closest walk-in clinic I could find. After checking in and waiting a while, I finally got into a room. Surprisingly, my temperature was normal when the nurse took it. My vitals seemed steady too, though my blood pressure was a bit high, even though that was normal for me. A tall older man by the name of Dr. Whittaker stepped into my room and took a look at me. He asked some general questions, and I explained my symptoms, and he quickly concluded I would need a blood test. Everything had been going all right up until that point, but when they took the equipment and found a vein to collect a sample, I got a strange, sick feeling, like something bad was about to happen. I was about to decline and try to leave once they got closer to me with the needle. I held my breath and looked away. I wasn't afraid of needles, but something about this made me feel oddly nervous. When the needle found its mark and sunk into my vein, I felt a strange surge of adrenaline and a flash of fury washed over me. I heard a scream, and when I looked back at the nurse, the needle had been bent and there was blood all over her and the ground. It seemed to be shifting strangely, like it had some sort of disturbing sentience. I apologized even though I hadn't moved or done anything. I did not see exactly what happened, but the nurse left and I was alone in the room with a disturbingly large puddle of my own blood as my only company. I wondered just what had happened to disturb her and how there was so much blood from a needle prick. I considered the blood weeping from that woman who grabbed me last night, and I was worried I had developed some hemorrhagic fever or something. But if I had, why did I feel fine just after losing so much blood? As I sat and waited, I felt a chilling silence wash over the room, and then a voice suddenly formed in the back of my mind. It sounded like something entirely alien and not manifested out of my own conscious. It said one word, forceful and imperious, like it needed me to listen for my own survival. Run. Without a second thought and against my better judgment, I burst out of the room and ran through the halls of the office just as the doctor was coming back with 2 men in biohazard suits. They started chasing me, and I ran through the door to an emergency exit and managed to force a piece of rebar in the back alley through the handle of the door, blocking it momentarily. There were hurried shouts and commotions in the building, and I fled as fast as I could from the whole scene. When I had made it a good distance, I felt sick and collapsed in the underbrush of the city park I had reached. I was about to move again after waiting to see if I was followed, but I felt a ringing in my ears and that same burning sensation, and I passed out again instead. When I woke up, I saw it was nighttime. I did not know how long I had been there. I had lost my phone at some point. The park was empty, and I thought it might be after midnight. I felt an ache on my hand, and to my horror, it had happened again. The bloody mark in my skin had changed. Where the sanguine 7 had shown before, a bloody 6 lay under my skin now. I had no idea what the hell was going on, but it did not feel like medical in nature. Something was wrong. This bloody mark was counting down to something terrible, and I had to find out what before it reached 0. We need to know before it reaches 0. I'm digging it. I'm going to cut these up into a couple of different parts here. I appreciate each and every one of you out there. Life has been busy. I created another channel. If anybody's into Magic the Gathering, me and Trothborn Son created a new channel called Midgrid Magic, where we play Magic the Gathering. We do different openings, we do different tournaments and draftings and stuff like that. If you're into it, awesome. Come check it out. I'll put a link in the description. If you're not, totally cool too. No big deal. Keep coming back here and we'll be uploading more stuff soon. Appreciate each and every one of you out there in Masochist land. I am the Midgrid Masochist. Farewell.